Hey everyone, welcome to Pickleball and Beyond. My name's Ryan.
My name is Vino.
And today we have two paddles from Rayox. We were looking at the Hurricane Power and the Storm Power. So Vino, let's hear your initial thoughts on both of these paddles.
14 millimeter edgeless paddles. Overall, the design and
it's a really cool design.
It's really nice. I mean, it stands out.
Yeah.
It really stands out. It pops out. The grip has these ridges that, like, sometimes we don't really like the ridges, but this one was fairly comfortable.
Yeah, this one I thought it was more comfortable than I was expecting, considering typically we don't care for this grip, but it actually didn't bother me and I didn't have any grip issues while I was out on the courts.
And both these paddles are coming at 16.5 by 7.5 inches. So it's elongated shape. The weight also was around the 7.9 that we measured for these specific paddles. They say it ranges up to 8.3, I believe. So fairly, elongated, regular, edgeless paddles. But that's where the regular in this stops.
Yeah, they should have made this word power on these paddles. I think you should just say power across the entire paddle.
Yes, because these both, where would we put them?
I mean, it's off the spectrum in the power paddles. It is absolute power paddles.
I mean, phenomenal power paddles, and we'll talk more as we dive into this review.
So please make sure to like and subscribe and, drop a comment. We'd love to interact with you guys. All of those items help us keep the channel growing. We love bringing you paddle reviews so we can help you make a better decision to find the paddle that's right for you. Make sure to stay tuned for the giveaway.
Okay, so getting back to these paddles, we said these are power paddles.
Yep.
But what also surprised us was the control on these paddles.
Yeah.
Again, edgeless, 14 millimeter paddle. You are going to think this is just going to go knocking everything down, which it does.
It does.
Let's talk about that one later. I mean, that's we measured those. It was off the charts.
Yep.
Let's go to the thing that surprised us, the control.
The control on both of these, we'll start with the Storm actually offered a little more control. It had a little longer dwell to it.
And let's talk a little bit of specs there. This is supposed to be a 3K carbon surface, and that's supposed to be a 15K carbon surface. When we looked at it under the microscope, both have the paint on it. Right, so you don't see that raw fibers. But as far as control goes, we have played with a couple more 3K carbon material, and it was really soft, right? And it was a very soft control paddle.
The Storm was actually especially from the kitchen line when the ball's coming slow, it's like, oh, this feels really really soft, which was surprising. Again, it's not comparable to your 16 millimeters. We're not saying that, but compared to what we were expecting, it certainly had more touch, especially the Storm. Where the Hurricane, it still had some of that, but it kind of came off a little hotter. Didn't have quite as much, that little extra dwell that the Storm had on it.
Again, I would say a notch or almost half a notch difference as far as the control goes. How did you feel your resets on both of these were?
So again, it was a surprise. That's not the shining light of these paddles, but I'd say it can get the job done. It might take you a little to get used to it because they do have, again, a ton of power. So it might take you a little bit of adjusting on those resets, but it didn't take too long to get relatively comfortable with both of them. Again, especially the Storm, I always say for resets, having that slightly longer dwell, it is a helpful characteristic to have. But both of these, I mean, it had a pretty decent level of control to it in terms of reset.
Would you say it had a fairly large sweet spot? What was the sweet spot like?
Considering it's an elongated paddle, I didn't run into any sweet spot issues. Now that you mentioned it, at all.
Yeah, both of them, as far as twist weight comes, it comes at around, this one comes at 6.4, this one at 6.6. So fairly generous twist weight as far as and relative to sweet spot. And then the twist weight was surprisingly, that one came at 114 and 112. Again, very close, which means it was very maneuverable.
Yeah, they both have that same maneuverability characteristic. That's one thing that I really appreciated on these.
Let's go to power and pop.
Let's do it. So we'll start with talking a little about the Storm here. Especially in terms of pop, that was the biggest difference, where the Storm didn't have a ton of pop, where, I mean, the Hurricane still retained a lot of pop to it. So when I was hitting my volleys out of the air, right, I mean, it just flew off. I mean, ridiculous speeds. So that's talking a little bit about the pop, but the full power swings.
Oh,
that's
wow.
where, I mean, the Hurricane was off the charts. We were comparing it to, we had a Joola Gen3 Perseus on us.
Yes, we did the Joola Perseus Gen3.
Yep.
We did the
Hudef
Aviva Gen3 Hudef.
Yep.
Both were averaging around 60, 59, get what I mean?
Yeah.
So very close. That was coming at about 65. So it's relative, right?
Yeah.
Because you were hitting against the wind,
Yeah.
right? But that was just hitting about 5 more than...
We noticed we were hitting 5 miles per hour faster
than
with
the Joola
Hurricane power.
Gen 3. So it really hits hard. When we
was-
say it hits hard, it like there was
Yeah.
some shots that was like, whoa, where did that go?
Yeah.
It was just out of this world.
Yeah, out of it, I can say it with confidence. Out of every paddle we've tested, this is
has taken
this
the-
is the new #1.
As far as power goes,
Yeah.
outright, no.
Yeah, it
How-
reminds me of the gearbox again. I think I want to do a head-on-head. I honestly think this was hitting even harder. This was terrifying.
I think
it
so.
was terrifying.
Yes. But see, I think where it almost beats that gearbox is, like in the gearbox, you got to apparently let it break in. We just broke this open, the package and everything like that.
It was already.
It was whacking it,
Yeah.
and it had control
Yeah.
that we sometimes found very hard to find in that gearbox.
Yeah, and what's crazy is, again, the weights aren't too heavy.
No,
So
no.
you could, I mean, if you really want to add lead and you really want even more power, just
If you want to really go hurt someone, yes.
It's crazy. And, you know, I talk a little bit about the Storm. The Storm also did a good job. I mean, tons of power on there
Yep.
as well. It's just the Hurricane was this just next
It just
level.
notched it up. It just
really
went a
did.
whole different level up. Let's go on spin, because there was a little bit of difference between spin. Let's start on that.
Yeah, so we noticed again, so with like hitting like a slower shot, like if you're at the kitchen, the Storm definitely like had more time to grab that ball, get those revolutions going. Not to say the Hurricane didn't do a good job.
It did have spin,
It still actually had pretty good spin. It is that painted surface, and so ours were brand new.
Yep.
So, you know, we'll see how long that lasts for. It might deteriorate over some time.
Yep.
But especially out of the box, they're both getting like pretty solid
Very
spin.
high levels
Yeah,
of
they're
spin.
getting really
I
good
think this
levels.
dwelled a little bit more, so you
Yeah.
got a little bit more a give as far as, you know, it's staying and cutting. This came out faster.
Yeah, I didn't have time to
Yes,
sit on
we
it.
just
It
felt like that
it
was just
off the paddle.
popping out really fast, but still got really good spin as far as the spin numbers go. I would like put it on the higher level. Let's quickly touch about adaptability and price.
Yeah, so the adaptability, I was honestly a little surprised that like I felt relatively comfortable playing with both of these guys right away. I found it almost easier to use the Hurricane. There's something about the Storm with the the dwell is really interesting on it.
Yes.
So it's weird because it's a fast hitting paddle, but like with a lot of dwell. And
Yes.
I made a few mistakes trying to like learn how to hit my drops and drives. Where the Hurricane, I'm like, okay, it's hard hitting and it's just flying off. I felt actually pretty comfortable with it right away. But Storm had a little bit of a learning curve.
I mean, both of these say they have this anti-vibration technology that reduces pain. Did you feel it absorbed a bit more? And what were your thoughts on that?
I mean, to me, I didn't really notice too big of a difference.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't say I felt any.
Yes.
So,
Because it felt
doing
like
its
light
job then.
paddles anyways.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was very maneuverable. You didn't have to, there was no strain on your arms about it. So this one goes for, that is their newer model, goes for 235.
Yep.
And this goes for 189.
Yep.
So I think that's their newer version. Fairly on the higher side, but it's a whole different paddle.
super unique.
Yes.
So I don't know about you. I think you'll agree with me. If I were to pick one, even though it's a little more expensive, I would certainly go with the Hurricane.
Yes.
I mean, I feel like if you're going for this power direction, just send it.
Yes.
Just go for it. I mean, this is another world. I was just so ecstatic using this paddle. It was just, I felt like a kid playing the game again.
Yeah.
Just the power was
And you had the
unreal.
control. And you
retained some control.
Yes.
It's
Because
super
lots of these
surprising.
power paddles, one thing that you're struggling to find is the control side of it. Are you able to cut it? Are you able to drop it? Are you going to counter punch?
Yeah.
Which this brings into the
It
picture.
did a fairly good job at that. So, to be eligible to win your very own paddle from Rayox, what
Yes.
you'll have to do is be a subscriber to the channel, leave a comment, let us know why you want this paddle, make us laugh, and make sure to drop a like on this video. That's all you have to do.
Again, awesome paddles, If you want to try, please reach out to us. We like helping people find paddles that work for them. And this is definitely another out of this world kind of a paddle.
Yeah.
So you have to try it. Please subscribe, please like. We love hearing from you and hope to see you in another paddle review.